Alright everyone, today I've got an E51 Elgrand in with a sunroof fault. They don't normally go wrong, these cars, they're normally pretty good, but now and again you get one that's had something done to it or whatever and it's caused a fault. I'm going to cut forward a bit here because I've already found the fault, or at least what I think is the fault, so I'm going to show you now. The problem was the sunroof wasn't quite shut and wouldn't open or shut, but there was a gap, so if it was left out in the rain it was just going to let water in. So first thing I did was to pop these side trim pieces off. They are handed, I believe, and they have an arrow on them to point to the front, I believe. Yeah, right hand and an arrow, so that way. That way. They slide off towards the centre of the car. I used a plastic pry tool to just lever them off, clip at the front and a clip at the back each side. And then there's 8 10mm nuts holding the sunroof on. There are also a lot of shims. I used a dry wipe pen on the window itself to indicate how many shims were where. There was 3 shims on 3 of the mounting points and 4 on the other. I then got a couple of microfiber cloths and I have put the sunroof on the roof with the cloths between it so that I don't scratch the glass or the roof. Now the problem I think is that the wind deflector is catching here. If I can do it well and look through the screen. That is meant to sit alongside it. I don't know if it is. There's the light. And on this side, it's on top of it. So I levered it down slightly to pop it down, and then it started working again. But I don't think the tilt's working correctly. So let's see what it's doing now. That's working now. There might be a different side with the glass back in. Now that's shut, but then if I go to tilt it, it doesn't seem to be working right. This side moves all along, and this side is bending. So I'm not out of the woods yet. Alright, let's see if I can record me temporarily fixing this. There you go. A bit tougher than that the first time. Now that's down, I'm going to try and close it and operate the tilt mechanism again, but I don't think it's going to sort it. Fully closed. Ah, there we go. Right, so that is definitely the only problem. Straighten that out and then see where we're at. Actually, the bending is a symptom, not the problem. The problem is this side, fine, arm nice and straight. This side, arm's a bit bent because that's not clipped on right. So I don't know what's caused that, but that being too far out, for whatever reason, it's covered in WD-40 at the moment. That being too far out is what's stopping it from going down, and yep, with that pushed on a bit further, goes in fine, both sides. So if I can get that to stay on, I think that's it fixed. Right, I popped that off there. It was a bit tight, but it's off. I'm going to take it off at that end as well with those 2 screws, hopefully, because looking at it, the plastic's misshapen. So I'm going to need to warm it up and get it to sit right again, otherwise it's just going to pop off again. This side, nice straight line, so that's the problem. Sorry for the shaky cam, but I can't put a tripod on the roof and I can't work one-handed. Yeah, sure enough, those two screws came out pretty easy, and then it just slid out the back. You can see the gap in there now. That's supposed to be onto some pressed steel, so it should be continuous gap really, at least straight lines anyway. So I'm going to try warming it up. Ow. It's gone mostly on its own anyway. Let's try and lock that shape in. Okay, so we're on to plan B here. I put it back on, that looked good. Heated it up again because it wasn't quite gripping right, to make sure it was as good as it can be. Like heated it up in situ and pressed it down while it cooled. And it still pops off. It's better than it was, but it's not ideal. So plan B is to drill a small hole around about where that tab is anyway, and put a small rivet in. I've checked for clearance both sides, there's plenty, it won't interfere with anything. There's a metal strip that runs down the side of the sunroof anyway there, so it wouldn't scratch the glass or damage the glass, but it shouldn't come in contact because it will be in that gap there. I'm only going to drill through the first layer of plastic and the metal, as long as I'm careful, and then that'll make sure it'll never come off again. It'll probably hold as it is, but it's not enough for me to want to trust it long term in the customer's hands, so I want it to be fixed permanently. So that's what's happening. Right, hole drilled, rivet popped, swath vacuumed up, and it goes down properly now, and there's no chance of that coming off. Could obviously easily be removed if you wanted to, just by drilling the rivet, but kind of want to put one on the other side just to make it look nice, but it doesn't need it. That one isn't coming off. It's not the neatest fix, but it's a permanent fix. So now I just need to put the glass back in and test it for real. Well, that was easier than the way out. The shims can be fitted while the glass is in place. You just lift it a bit. Right, moment of truth. Tilt. Works. Slide. Works. Double check. Seems fine. Easy as that. One rivet. Now I just need to fit the trim pieces back on and wipe down my horrible finger marks that I put everywhere. Cream interiors, cream cloth interiors in fact, are just a nightmare as a mechanic. I need to work on something oily next to something cream cloth. Thankfully I've got the right products for that. Okay, I'm not out the woods yet. I checked it again shortly after I finished filming that, and it's not working quite right again. And I've numbered it down to this having had a tight spot. It doesn't now, I've altered it, but there was a point there where it just gripped ever so slightly tighter, and that was causing it to not fully close. This is accessed by removing 3 screws from in the top of this. Once the glass is out, then that can be raised up, and then you can see this. To open it up, I just did it in situ, put a screwdriver in there with a shifter on it, flat blade screwdriver, and just do one-handed, but not that way anyway. Went that way. But just opened it up slightly by putting force on there. I haven't tested it yet, but I think that might fix it again. Right, well, initial tests are promising. The clunk has gone away, which was coming from this side. I don't know if you noticed it when it was working. There was a clunk, but it still shut. But if it doesn't clunk, didn't clunk, then it wouldn't shut. But now there's no clunk and it does shut. So I'm going to try the glass back in again, and hopefully this is the last time. Well, I'm not out of the woods yet. I have taken a few more bits off. I found a slight fault on one of these. It's got a flat spot on it, so I'm probably going to have to correct that, but I'm not sure that's enough on its own. Okay, the plot thickens. These are the two followers that run in the channels and the glass bolts to these. These are the bits that actually run in the channels, or some of them anyway, and they need to line up with slots in order for the tilt mechanism to work and for it to go up when it gets to the end of its travel and actually sit flush with the roof. Now, the side that's not so bad, that doesn't have any movement, that has a bit, but the side that's bad, this has a fair bit of movement, and this one is all over the shop. This is the one that's flat spotted as well. So I think that is probably most of the problem, unless it's another symptom, but I'll tighten it up and give it another check and see where we're at. I got it. Do the rest. Well, I'm quietly confident that might work. There's no clunks, no sticking. Tilt works fine. Try the glass back in. Well, I made a mess, but it's not a problem. I've already done the rest. I'm going to show you how I'm going to get rid of that using this excellent product. Quick wipe. Might need a second go, but pretty good. And yeah, cleaner than it ever was. Still a little damp, so it'll be a little bit lighter when it dries out. Yeah, happy with that. It's going for a full valet after it leaves me anyway, but I don't like leaving marks. I'll give it another check in the daylight tomorrow, but I think that's pretty good. And one last check. You should never say those words, but here we go. Yep, that's worked. Yep, it's worked every single time since that last fix, and I've checked it a lot of times. So I think that's fixed, but I can't let you go without showing you some of the party tricks of this car, if you don't know them. You've got a side blind, which is a camera for the front wheels to help you parking. There's also obviously, well, not obviously, but there's also a rear view camera which has the turning, not turning it far because the engine's off, but the guidelines turn with the wheel. And on top of that, you've got both side electric bars, the soft closed boot, and oops, wrong way, blinds, if they were in the right place. They are very cool, these cars. 3.5 litre engine, very similar to the 350Z engine, often 4-wheel drive. You can get them in a 2.5, but most of them are 3.5. And yeah, all round cool car. Sound amazing with an exhaust on. Only problem is, you can't use the clock unless you're in Japan, really, because it's stuck on Japan time. It's GPS and you cannot set it, as far as I know. But yeah, there you go. One fixed sunroof. It only took me a day and a half, but it works. So, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more. See ya.